Okay, so a question students ask quite often, although I wish they'd ask it more often because I think I've got a good answer, is why are we learning this? Now, I think I've got a really good answer for this, but often I'll hear answers that are, well, utilitarian, I suppose. So you are told, oh, well, when you're older, you're going to really want to use this because if you have children or if you want to open a bank account, you'll need to know how to do this bit of maths. Or if you are cooking, for instance, I don't know, there'll always be some kind of reason, and it will be a reason that you can make an argument about and say, well, I never want to do that. I mean, that's what that line of answering leads you down the trap of. But I think I've got a really good answer to why we're learning this. I think the best answer is that the question assumes that there is such a person with such amazing knowledge that they can look into a crystal ball and know everything that you're ever going to want to do, think, or try to do, right? And if they could know all this information, they could design the perfect curriculum just for you, right? So let's imagine what that would be like. Maybe we do a test, right? We take a blood test, or we do put a skull cap on you and it measures your brain waves, and we work out that, well, this student here, when they're older, they're going to grow up and they're going to want to be a doctor, right? So we're going to teach them advanced mathematics, statistics. We're going to teach them all about human biology in the body, all about science, but we don't need to teach them anything about politics or religion or literature, because that's not useful for them, and it's not useful for us. It's a waste of time, and it's a waste of money, and it's a waste of time for them to do that. So we're just going to teach them those things. Maybe we take another person and we put the skull cap on them, or we test their blood, or some method for knowing perfectly what this person's going to want to do in the future, and we find that this person is going to want to be a dustbin man or dustbin person, right? And not to put dustbin people down, because the people that do that job can earn pretty damn good money. It's a vital service, and I mean, if I had to quit teaching and find a different job, it's something I'd consider doing, if I'm honest, because I think it'd be quite a nice exercise. But let's say that was the case, that we found out that the student was going to become a dustbin man or person when they're older. So what does that mean? Well, if you find out what round they're doing, they're going to be working on round 27 in a particular area, right? And the house numbers only go up to 250 in that area. So when we're teaching this person maths, it's absolutely pointless teaching them how to count beyond 250, right? We can also tell that this person's never going to have any interest in saving money when they're older by doing an amazing brain scan. So there's no point teaching them about percentages or things like that, because they're never going to use these skills, right? So I would hope that most people can see that if you lived in a world where an entity, let's say the government, or an educator, or a person who ran a school that you were going to, could decide ahead of time what it was worth you learning and knowing about, and what it was worth you not knowing about, right, would be pretty horrible. I think everybody would bark against that. Nobody would accept, so I'm on the reduced curriculum. I only get to learn the stuff for the simpletons because I'm never going to amount to anything. Everybody would complain about that. Similarly, the doctor the future doctor might complain, but I enjoy literature and I want to read. So what do we actually do? Well, in the real world, we don't have perfect knowledge. We don't know what you're going to be when you're older. We don't know what you're going to want to know, right? So we, as a society, have experimented and played around, and at the moment what we have is a curriculum that we know if a student progresses all the way through to 16 years old and they complete all their courses and they study the broad range of things that we get them to study, that students who've completed that have much better life chances, they live longer, they're healthier, and they will report that they are happier in their lives, right? So it's a good starting point. I'm sure there are things we can modify and change with the curriculum, but ultimately, anything you learn can't really harm you, right? If you learn something that wasn't useful in the future, strictly speaking wasn't useful, it's not going to do you any harm. But what's more likely to cause you harm is not learning something, right? If you ask a baby when it's first born, do you want to learn to speak? Come on then. Hello. Hello. Wow. And be able to understand a language, right? Well, you can't really ask that question. But is the baby going to be able to give you a sensible answer? Without knowing what benefits you get from being able to speak a language, you wouldn't know what you were losing by choosing not to learn it. So I think the biggest danger in education is not that we teach you things that you don't need. It's that we don't teach you something that you do need, right? The danger is in omitting something, not in putting too much in. And ultimately, by having a free, broad education where you get to learn lots of things, you ultimately get to decide what you use them for and what you become and what you make of yourself, right? No one is saying to you from the outset, you're a Band A student, so you're going to learn these materials because that's what's going to make you economically useful to society. No, we're not saying that. We're saying everybody has the opportunity to learn as much as they can. And the more you learn and the more powerful you become intellectually and the more things you can do with your mind, the more freedom you have to pick and choose the best things that our society has to offer you. And likely as well, the more educated you become, the more people are going to want to have you as their neighbour, the more people are going to want to give you money because you're useful, you do useful things, you're able to do useful things, and you can contribute well to the society you live in, and people are going to value you and want you around. So that's my answer. Why are we learning this? We're learning it because we don't know what you're going to be. I hope you found this useful and thought-provoking, and if you have any comments, please make them in the comment section. Thank you.